It all started when Sarah found the mirror at a small antique shop on the edge of town. She had always loved vintage things, and the mirror, tall, ornate, and framed in intricately carved wood, was too beautiful to pass up. It looked old, perhaps from the 19th century, but the shopkeeper had little information on its origin. He sold it to her for a surprisingly low price, almost as if he was eager to be rid of it. That weekend, Sarah invited her friends over to her apartment to show off her new find. There were 5 of them: Sarah, her boyfriend Mark, their friends Claire and Jake, and Claire's younger sister, Emily. The group had known each other for years, and Sarah often hosted get-togethers at her place. The mirror now hung in her living room, dominating the space. Its surface gleamed, unnaturally bright even in the dim light of the evening. "It's beautiful," Claire remarked, running her hand over the intricate carvings on the frame. "Where did you find it?" "Some old antique shop," Sarah replied, smiling proudly. "I thought it would add some character to the room." Mark stood back, gazing into the mirror with an odd expression. "There's something weird about it, though. It feels off." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, joining him to examine the reflection. Mark hesitated. "I don't know. It's almost like the reflection isn't right, like the room looks a little different in the mirror. Maybe I'm just imagining things." They all crowded around to take a closer look. For a moment, nothing seemed unusual. The reflection showed the 5 of them standing in the room, with the couch, the coffee table, and the dimly lit lamps. Everything seemed normal. But as they stared, something shifted, just for a split second, so quick that they almost missed it. "Did you see that?" Emily whispered, stepping back from the mirror. "See what?" Sarah asked, her voice tense. Emily's eyes widened. I thought I saw myself move when I wasn't moving." The others glanced at each other nervously. Sarah laughed, trying to brush off the creeping unease. "Come on, it's just an old mirror. Our minds are probably playing tricks on us." But deep down, they all felt it. There was something wrong with the mirror. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Even though the mirror was in the living room, she could swear she felt its presence, like a silent observer following her movements. She tried to sleep, but strange, twisted dreams plagued her. A world that looked like hers but darker, with shadows that moved on their own and versions of her friends that seemed wrong. The next day, Sarah woke feeling restless. She walked into the living room and froze. The mirror was no longer hanging on the wall. It had moved, now leaning against the opposite side of the room. Her heart pounded as she stared at it. No one had been in the apartment but her. How could it have moved? She called Mark, who came over immediately. He tried to calm her down, saying there had to be a logical explanation, but the mirror unsettled him too. They decided to leave it for now, figuring maybe Sarah had moved it and just forgotten. That evening, as the sun set and the apartment darkened, Sarah sat in front of the mirror, staring into its gleaming surface.